Looking at the stars never fails to make one's mind wander into the depths of space. Peering into the night sky has always kept people curious from the very beginning. The depths of space hold so much that is unexplored and unexplained. Today, we are better able to explore and study the depths of space with our better instruments and telescopes. People have been looking at the night sky for centuries. Ever since the beginning of time, I'm sure that people have found the night sky amazing. Ptolemy, Nicholas Copernicus, Tycho Brahe, and Galileo were some of the first of the early astronomers to really put their theories and observations on paper so that people could read them and study them. Ptolemy was the very first real astronomer that tried to get his theories and observations down. His theory was that the Earth was in the middle and all the planets and the sun went around the Earth, circulated around the Earth in a perfect circle. This was called the geocentric system. Later on, a couple hundred years later, came along Copernicus. Copernicus introduced the heliocentric system. He said that the geocentric system was wrong and that the sun was in the middle of our the sun was in the middle of our planetary system, and that all the planets circulated around the sun. Well, come to find out, this was right, but it took many years to convince not only the church, not only the people, but the church as well. They never would go along with it, and if anybody tried to go against them, they would put them in prison for life for heresy, saying that they were wrong. After Copernicus came Tycho Brahe. He was the next person that really thought the heliocentric system was the correct, but of course he couldn't say anything about it. He's most well known for building the first observatory. It was a Danish observatory. He didn't have any telescopes because at that point they weren't around. What he would do is he would sit in this observatory, what he considered observatory, at night, and he would watch the stars as they went across the sky. He always wanted to measure the stars to the nearest degree so that he could see what was moving and what was being stationary and what was always the same. Basically what he found out from this was that there are planets which move across the sky, same pattern, almost every night that you can see them. And the ones that stay still are obviously not planets. That meant that they had to be other galaxies or other stars like our own. After him came his student, Johannes Kepler. Kepler said that the planets did not move in a perfect circle, that they moved in ellipses. He used Tycho Brahe's information and the statistics that he had gathered to prove that they did in fact move in ellipses, and nothing moved in a perfect circle. Come to find out, this was true. After him, this person was kind of his arch nemesis. They didn't necessarily agree on absolutely everything, but Galileo Galilei might have been one of the biggest astronomers of his time. Galileo made the first telescope, which was a little 3-inch telescope, and he used it to observe the sky. It took him many years to get this to the king and queen, and the king and queen really liked it, as well as the church. He was the first person to absolutely prove that the geocentric system was wrong. He did this by proving that he had noticed spots on the sun, which would have been planets moving around. He noticed that there were mountains and craters on the moon. He noticed that the Milky Way has lots of stars instead of just one or two, or none, instead of just stars. He also noticed that Venus has phases and Jupiter has moons. All of these together helped show that that the heliocentric system was definitely right. Come to find out, obviously it is right. And many of the moons that he had found are named after him today, that circle Jupiter. All of their observations, theories, and discovery helped us get to where we are today. Today's instruments allow us to look deeper into space and observe more things. The telescopes and observatories that have the really big telescopes are probably the two biggest components to this, as well as the ones that circle Earth, which would be like the Hubble Space Telescope has found many great pictures, or taken many great pictures. and the Kepler has found many great planets. There are hundreds of telescopes to choose from just to go backyard, and if you want to get more into that, I would advise looking into this book right here, Exploring the Night Sky. This book is great for beginners. It goes into explaining all kinds of stuff about the different telescopes and how you use them. It's by Terrence Dickinson, and again, it's called Exploring the Night Sky. The discoveries made today come from the inventors of the past. Today, we know that there are many other stars, black holes, and galaxies, and they all make up our universe. One of the most recent and coolest discoveries that I think was made by the Kepler Space Telescope, which goes through space and takes images and sends them back to Earth. It found what they call Kepler 22b. Kepler 22b is one of the only planets that they have found in the universe and other galaxies that are in the inhabitable zone around its sun. I mean, doesn't get much cooler than that. It would almost be like an Earth. And if you really want to get into the more down to, like, really want to study astronomy, I would advise checking out the University of California, San Diego website. They have a lot about the history that I couldn't explain or that I couldn't mention. It didn't really fit in. And this book right here, it's called Skywatching. Awesome book. It explains everything that you need to know. It's got star charts and tells all about time. Astronomy is really cool, and if it weren't for our early astronomers and their contributions, we wouldn't be able to do what we are today.